final storyteller of the evening is a Fisterhood favorite. We are welcoming to the stage Molly McCloy. She is a 4-time Moth Slam winner. And last week, she had her story, Grudge number 7, chosen as a Best of Risk storyteller on the Risk podcast. I just heard it tonight. It is phenomenal. You should check it out. You can hear that story by going to the Risk Story website or searching Risk Best Of on Spotify. Molly is currently pitching her recently completed memoir, so if you are a literary agent in the crowd, or happen to know one, or if you just want to get on her email list, find her after the show. Welcome, Molly!
All right, let's give a big hand for Ames and Riley and Aaron and all these great stories, and Kathleen. So I had this story ready to go for last month for the F Word show, and then I got COVID. So there are still some F Word bits left in this story, and it was what anniversary was it? It was anniversary. 10-year anniversary show. So when I do this story tonight, what you should know is there's a little bit that's an F-word bit that is a special tribute to this particular storytelling show, and I think you'll know what I mean when I come across it. So it's 2004, and I'm sitting in a chair in a tiny Airbnb in Brooklyn. My ex-girlfriend is sitting on the bed, and we're so close our knees are nearly touching. I should not be here. I should be on the other side of Brooklyn helping the woman I love move into her new apartment. In this moment, I'm 34 years old, and when it comes to matters of the heart, I'm a fucking idiot. My love life has been ridiculous for years. When I was 18, I fell in love with a woman who married a man. So I was in love with her for 9 years, had an affair with her for 5, and I tried so hard to fall in love with anyone else that I ended up having 22 naked hookups with random women and 6 actual girlfriends. So yeah, that was the 90s for me. This was lonelier than it looked. Recently, a friend of a friend from back in the day asked me whether it was true that I dated 6 women at the same time. It took me a minute to realize she was talking about this story that I wrote and read to queer audiences back then, a story that most people recognized as fiction, especially since the final scene was me fucking all 6 girlfriends by gyrating in a hula hoop studded with 6 dildos. So I thought, well, either this woman is calling me a liar, or she just really needs a lesbian folk hero. And I'm here to tell you right here, right now, that if my community needs me, I will step up and be the Paul Bunyan of dildo hula hoops. Because it's easy for me to tell you about my 22 hookups and my 6 ex-girlfriends. It's harder for me to admit that I couldn't figure out how to really love anyone back then. Honestly, I didn't know how to let myself be loved. I tried really hard to find a lasting relationship, a girlfriend I could introduce to my family. In 1997, Sarah, this construction worker I was sleeping with, met my dad for the first time. When these two locked on for the handshake, it was like an epic battle. The bulging biceps, the ripped forearms. I watched them and I had this fantastic epiphany. My God, I'm dating a woman who could kick my dad's ass. I wanted her to arm wrestle him right there in the restaurant, and I wanted her to win. Sarah had long curly hair, which contrasted nicely with her steel-toed boots. And I was really glad that I had my hair in a chin-length bob, because it's the only haircut I've ever had that made butch construction workers want to fuck me. But Sarah didn't stick around. Many of my 6 ex-girlfriends broke up with me. I was too moody, or too boring, or too critical. I have a photo of one of my exes holding an assault rifle. She's smiling, but she totally wants to pump me full of lead. She had short hair with bangs, a hairstyle which looked dangerously close to a bowl cut. I never said this, but she knew I was thinking it, which is why she wanted to shoot me. I dated one woman, Kathy, who was just too young. She had short red hair with her bangs sprouting straight up from her forehead. I was 30 and she was 22. One time I was naked with her in her bedroom at her parents' house in suburban Gilbert. We were just getting started when I heard the garage door opening for her parents' car. That's when I looked up and saw that Kathy still had her childhood collection of 200 stuffed animals. And remember the dildo hula hoop story? I emailed that to Kathy, and her dad read it. When I was the one to break it off, it was always at the 3-month mark. As soon as things got real, as soon as someone got close to me, I'd break up for some petty reason. Like she had bad breath, or bad hair, or she didn't say enough nice things to my cat. I didn't think the 3-month curse would happen with Mila, the 6-foot-tall Lithuanian dominatrix's assistant. She was kinky and liked public sex. She liked to dress me up in lingerie. And she had this fantasy about me wearing a traditional Lithuanian folk dancing dress. I hit the 3-month mark with Mila during a certain sex act. For you straight people, I won't call it by name yet. Let's just say I was all in. Was I in over my head? No. But I was definitely in over my wrist. Fisting is not boxing. It's not punching. You can't really work up any force or speed in such tight quarters. When I was all in, Mila said, "Is this powerful for you? Other women love it." Oh, I forgot a part. This is how I got all in. I did this maneuver that 90s lesbians called the duck or the puppet. And I'm like, oh no, I've hit the 3-month mark. The honeymoon is over. My hand is caught in the cookie jar. The funniest thing about all this is that my parents loved Mila. They wanted me to marry Mila. Never mind that Mila was in an open relationship with me and the man she was actually married to, a passive-aggressive math professor. One time, Mila had him record me a CD of flute music for meditation, and he sampled in fart noises. I'd play the CD and think, is that a didgeridoo? After Mila and I broke up, I moved in with this woman from Philly who broke up with me when her psychic, named Grey Wolf, told her to date the straight woman she worked with at the NPR Fulfillment Center. At this point, my friends finally intervened in my ridiculous love life and introduced me to Rebecca, who lived in New York City, where I was moving to. Rebecca was beautiful and had a great sense of humor. One time, she took this ridiculously giant pencil to this really important job interview. This 1.5 foot long pencil to take notes with at the interview so that she could laugh later if she didn't get the job. She was my kind of prankster. Rebecca had long blonde hair in a braid. She didn't even have a lesbian haircut yet. She'd only been out for 3 years, and she'd only had one girlfriend. So that long braid all the way down the middle of her back had me worried. Rebecca wasn't likely to stick around. She was going to want to sleep with other women. I was sure she'd find someone better than me. But then I took a second look at the braid. Out of all the women I knew, no one had long hair in a braid. No one had Rebecca's haircut. Rebecca's braid was like this brazen fuck you to the New York fashion world. And I liked that a lot. Rebecca came down to Philly and stayed with me for 3 days. Afterwards, all the women in her Weight Watchers group wanted to know how she lost 6 pounds in just one weekend. But Rebecca knew these straight ladies weren't really ready for the 36-hour all-you-can-eat pussy diet. Rebecca and I went on all these great New York dates. The best one was on the 4th of July when we watched the fireworks over the Statue of Liberty. But then things got real. At 3 months in, Rebecca sneezed. With any other woman, this sneeze would have been a deal breaker. Rebecca's sneeze is like a sonic boom. I was in love, so I clapped my hands over my ears. I was all in. "I love you, baby," I yelled over the sneeze. Besides, Rebecca was already putting up with my horrible stink from the hot New York muggy weather. We were getting real. I was stinky. She was sneezy. I kind of had the better deal. And then things got even more real. Rebecca was moving to my neighborhood, and that scared me. That's how bad my fear of intimacy was. The woman that I loved wasn't even moving into my apartment, just the same general area. And then my ex Mila showed up. Mila, last seen engulfing my entire hand. I thought I could hang out with Mila as just friends and help Rebecca move. But Rebecca texted me over and over that day, and I did not answer. Somehow I missed these messages. Maybe I didn't have my phone. Maybe it died. But maybe, just maybe, I ignored this texting because I was so scared of the realness with Rebecca that I was hiding out with Mila. I don't know. What I do know is that I was in this tiny little Airbnb with Mila, and I had to make a choice. Mila was right there on the bed. She had this platinum bleached haircut, short and shaggy. And then a text comes through from Rebecca. "Where are you? What are you doing?" And I realize, hey, Mila is still married. She's been sleeping with a second guy. And hey, she never did buy me that Lithuanian folk dancing outfit. I think of how Rebecca and I watched the fireworks that 4th of July, exploding over the shoulder of this country's dykiest cultural icon, the Statue of Liberty. That night, Rebecca and I made up our own names for each type of firework. She had her hair in a graduated bob by then, the traditional lesbian starter haircut. It looked great on her. Cauliflower was her name for the all-white firework. Stringy Hangover was my name for the stringy hungover one. I never had this much fun with anybody. "Where are you? What are you doing?" Rebecca's message says. She needs me right now. I'm not going to make it over there on time to help. And what the fuck am I doing with Mila in the fucking first place? I don't even give Mila a hug goodbye. I just go running out the door. I run for blocks. I catch my breath, and then I run some more. I run right to Rebecca's new building. Now I've got to dig my way out of the doghouse. I need a grand gesture. I want to buy flowers, but I have no money, zero. I look around and immediately see what I have to do. There's this long flower bed outside Rebecca's new building. I dig both hands into the dirt. I dig out this little patch of orange flowers. When Rebecca opens her apartment door, I have these flowers in my hands with the roots and the dirt hanging down. Rebecca says, "You are ridiculous." "Yes, I am," I say. "Will you let me in anyway?" Time freezes as Rebecca glares at me. I stand there on the gray concrete of the hallway, sweating it out as Rebecca slowly makes her decision about me. Mud drops off the flower roots onto the floor. It's this horrible feeling, Rebecca's anger. It's like she's shining this bright flashlight right at me and all of my red flags. "I'm sorry," I say. Rebecca turns around. She walks back into her apartment. She doesn't shut the door behind her. She lets me in. These days, I can tell you what it's like to spend a third of your life closely witnessing just one other woman's lesbian haircuts. Rebecca shaved her hair short in 2010, and she looked like Emilio Estevez, which was totally hot. One time in 2013, I tried to cut her hair with clippers, but gave her a bald spot. Rebecca's hair is long enough for a ponytail now, but I don't think she'll ever sport the long braid again. Because this is a story about one F word, fidelity. In 2004, I stood there at Rebecca's doorway, and I knew, with my whole body and my whole being, that Rebecca needed absolute loyalty from me. I promised myself that I would never cheat on her. And that's a promise I've kept for over 18 years now.